Welcome back to Unshrinking You. I'm Tammy. This week's article started with a story about a woman who shut up for everything. And somewhere inside of all of that showing up, the feeling left. If something in that story felt familiar, today we go into why. We are in Gene Key 16, Magical Genius. The shadow is Indifference. This one is personal for me. I'm not just teaching it, I'm living it. People close to me have said something to me more than once over the years. Tammy, you have a deep capacity for learning new skills. And for a long time, I received that as a nice compliment and moved right past it. But I've been sitting with it differently lately. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, a fascia maneuvers coach, and a human design guide. 3 disciplines, each one in its own world, its own language, its own years of study and practice and refinement. And at some point, they stopped being 3 separate things. They became one methodology, mine. Something I built not by deciding to integrate them, but by staying genuinely curious about each one long enough that they started talking to each other on their own. You cannot force that. You cannot manufacture genuine interest. You cannot perform your way into that kind of depth. It only comes from being actually in it. Yes, I used air quotes. Here's what I know about myself. When I'm in a session with a client, I'm not performing the role of hypnotherapist, while part of me is somewhere else. I am fully present to what their nervous system is doing, what their fascia is holding, what their human design is showing me about how they are wired. All 3 simultaneously. Not because I'm exceptional, because I've been genuinely in love with all 3 long enough that they have become one thing. That is Gene Key 16's gift, versatility, not being scattered, being genuinely responsive. I am not the finished version of this, but I am living the direction of it. And that is exactly what the Gene Key is asking of all of us this week. I want to go a little deeper into what is actually happening here, because I have been sitting with a question that has been reorganizing how I understand my own work. What if your fascia is your subconscious mind? Not a metaphor, but a nice way of talking about the body. I mean literally, what if they are the same system? Your subconscious mind stores your emotions, your memories, and your belief systems. Everything you could not process in real time got filed there. The patterns that run your life, the ones you did not consciously choose, the ones that keep showing up, they live there. And your fascia stores the same things. Your fascia is a web-like structure made of tubes. And inside those tubes is a gel-like substance, a water-based substance that holds memory. Water has memory. So when we say your body knows, we're not speaking in metaphors. The storage is literal. Now here's where it gets really interesting. There is a researcher named Candace Pert. She spent years studying neuropeptide receptors, the molecular messengers of emotion. And she found them not just in the brain, but throughout the body, in the gut, in the tissues, everywhere. Her conclusion was direct. The body is the subconscious mind, not a container for the subconscious mind, the thing itself. So what does that mean for how I work? It means when I'm doing fascia maneuvers with a client and I'm also using programming statements, speaking directly to the body while it's in the middle of releasing, I am not doing 2 things at once. I am talking to the same system through 2 doors simultaneously. The body is already in a receptive state. The tissue is already softening, and the subconscious is listening. Not in the abstract way it listens when you are wide awake and braced, but the way it listens when it has been given permission to receive. In my hypnotherapy sessions, I have a phrase I use. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness of them. You are the master and commander. Command your mind, command your body to go deeper. But something shifted for me recently, working with a client, and I want to offer you this instead. You are the awareness, and from that place you do not command, you permit. You allow the body to do what it already knows how to do. For women who have spent years commanding themselves to hold it together, to perform, to override the signal, to show up even when nothing in them wanted to, more commanding is not the medicine. The medicine is permission. And here's why the parallel modalities matter. If negative emotions are held in multiple biological systems at once, neural, fascial, visceral, then working one system at a time leaves the others untouched. The fascia releases and the subconscious pattern retightens it. The hypnotherapy rewires the belief and the fascia keeps holding the old shape. But when you work with them together, you're not adding up separate results. You are creating compound release. The systems that have been reinforcing each other start releasing each other instead. That is the architecture of this work. And this week, in the shadow of Gene Key 16, in the pattern of indifference, that architecture matters more than usual. Because indifference as a fascia pattern is the body that learns skimming is safer than arriving. And you cannot think your way out of that. You cannot will yourself back into genuine engagement. You have to let the body lead that way. Your body knows. It has always known. We are just giving it the invitation. This week's Fascia Friday maneuver works with 3 areas: the diaphragm, the jaw, and the palate. The diaphragm because this is where compressed enthusiasm lives in the tissue. When it releases, the breath drops, the voice changes. The body gets the signal that it is safe to feel what it is doing. The jaw because that is where we hold what we have not let ourselves fully say or feel. The jaw is often the last thing to let go. When it does, something in the whole system exhales. And the palate swipe, this is from the fascia stress release protocol, and it is one of my favorites. I actually do it every morning in the shower. The palate connects through fascia to the base of the skull, the cranial system, the area we associate with the third eye. When tension releases there, something in the whole upper system settles. Clarity comes, presence comes. Together, these 3 don't just release tissue. They give the body back to itself. Come to the live Substack on Friday. 10 minutes. Something will have already shifted in your voice before you finish. Richard Rudd says, as long as you are indifferent, you can't ever be different. I want to sit with that for a second, even for myself, and you can join me. Because what I have come to understand in my own work, with my own clients, in my own body, is that the way out of indifference is not through more effort. It is not through deciding harder to show up. It is not through commanding yourself back into aliveness. It is through permission. The body that has been performing engagement for years does not need to be pushed. It needs to be invited. So this week's question is not a mindset prompt. It is a body question. Where are you going through the motions? Not as judgment, as genuine curiosity. Where has the protection of indifference kept you just slightly outside of what you are actually doing? Where is the breath stopping short? Where is the jaw holding? Where is the voice saying the right words, but the feeling behind them is somewhere else? That is where your fascia is holding the pattern. And fascia releases. It is designed to release. All it needs is the invitation. Friday's maneuver is that invitation. Diaphragm, jaw, and palate. 10 minutes and you will feel something shift in your voice before you finish. Come find me in the Substack chat this week. Tell me where you feel it. I read every single one. If this episode is calling you somewhere deeper, if something in here has been quietly pointing at you, I have one-on-one consultation spots available right now. That is where we figure out together exactly where your body is holding and what the right next step looks like for you specifically, whether that's in the workshop, the beta program, or working with me one-on-one, the link is in the show notes. Until Friday, keep on shrinking. Your body knows the way.